Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 00040 of Live Live. Can't believe we're all the way at episode 40. That means we're coming up on a year almost, considering I've pretty much do this weekly. Really special 40th episode guest here today. My friend, we go way back to rival high schools in Richmond, Virginia, classmates at Virginia Tech. Then Peter stayed in Richmond, worked for Commonwealth Architects as well as Oregon Construction, and is now with HKS. Peter, good to see you, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Dave. Glad to be on the show.
Yeah, I hear you're a huge fan. You've watched every episode multiple times.
Right. Yeah. Know them by heart.
You're I figured as much. You're part of kind of a double club on here. First of all, you're one of my Virginia Tech Architecture School classmates, and I've had a couple of those on here, which is always fun to reminisce in there. And then also, you're my third guest from HKS Architects, which is really cool. And I've talked to folks across. We had Nick Cooper and we had Joe Cliggett. Nick used to be in Richmond office, and then Joe is in the Chicago office. So all roads seem to lead to HKS. Second, I've only had two. I guess I've had three people, including myself, from Getch Partners on here. So it's kind of fun when you end up connecting the dots across all these interesting people doing really cool stuff. Yeah. So just kind of talking about your kind of path over the last, 25 years now, something like that, 22 years.
Must, yeah.
You pretty much stayed in kind of the commercial world of construction, and you've worked in the integrated project delivery side of stuff, really like the BIM implementation, from architecture to a general contractor, now back to an architecture firm. What have you kind of seen in the evolution over 20 years of what's happening in the industry and technology?
So it's an interesting question. I think, I was thinking about that even before we got online, because when I went from just practicing architecture to construction, what I found was the construction industry is actually one of the most advanced as far as software capability goes, and also one of the most behind. And right. the reason why that is because of that disconnect between the office team and the site team, and I believe it's really rooted in the education and pushing the technology and injecting it through the entire organization. Right. So you can only do that if all of your subcontractors, all of your trades are fully on board with it, and eliminate and reject the "I got here first" mentality. Meaning, if Sprinkler got into an area of a building before MEP did, their sprinkler pipes going up regardless.
Right.
So, that's kind of the hardest lesson I've learned, but also the most fascinating one as far as how do you push the whole integrated process with BIM coordination into the field and hold the team responsible for what you've coordinated. And that comes down to how contracts are written, which is interesting because that's kind of what I do now with project management. There's a lot of contract stuff, but it's also about just the collaborative understanding of how things are going to work and how the field team needs to operate in almost lockstep with the shop drawings that are produced, the models that are produced, and how that's actually conveyed in the field. So from a construction side, I think that's been a really fascinating thing. From the design side, we are at HKS really kind of pioneering the next wave of implementation for construction documents. I'm on the team for the new Cleveland Browns stadium. And at Huntington Bank Field, our goal there is to really deliver that project as a digital deliverable, which means you're reliant on both the model and any 2D supplemental construction documents for detailing that come along with it.
That's awesome.
The real task there is making sure it's easily digestible, but also understanding that there are still some hurdles with different trades that just are not savvy. They're not going to use that model for takeoffs for certain, items like flooring, tile, wall coverings. It's really difficult to get that. So then figuring out how you bridge that with the capabilities of the general contractor and their pre-construction and virtual construction teams so that it can all come together and be as digital as we can get it for the delivery.
I think that's so cool. I've talked about it on this show. I can't remember, probably with a couple different guests. Yeah, I'm always intrigued by the evolution away from a construction drawing, a sheet of paper, which has been the industry standard, the communication standard for how things get built for centuries. And you have teams like yourselves and at HKS and then all the other engineers and everyone else working on a full building simulation, a really sophisticated model of what this thing is, how it all comes together, what all the connections are, all the little levels of detail, and so much energy goes into that. And then it just gets sliced up into 1,000 pages of two-dimensional drawings that then have to get converted to be built. And
Right.
It seems like that's a lot of energy.
It's a ton of energy
that gets lost over time. So you guys are trying to close the gap on that and essentially deliver that building simulation that then they can somehow figure out a way through interface how to extract the information they need to be able to build it. Is that accurate?
Right. Yeah, exactly right. And you can do that with a multitude of different programs. We're trying to use in part and parcel Autodesk Construction Cloud, because there are some benefits to having that model interface. It's cloud available in the cloud. You can take dimensions, you can cut it however you want, view it in 3D. You can actually superimpose the PDF plans you generate in the 3D environment. And, there's a lot of benefit to that, but we're also seeing the benefit from the contractor of utilizing Autodesk Navisource Manage or Reviz2 or those other programs that really help leverage to the full capability of technology what's available to actually build the project and to coordinate the project. One of the interesting things, I'm not sure if you know this, Dave, but the trade in the industry that's been conducting projects the longest in sort of a virtual deliverable has actually been the steel industry.
Yeah.
By
Makes
utilizing
sense, right?
Tekla
Yep.
as their primary software. That's been at
probably 50 years, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was going to say 40 to 50 years range of when they've been detailing everything like that. So yeah, they still end up submitting shop drawings in 2D, but you can pull up this elaborate 3D model with every connection and every bolt and every nut, which is just entirely fascinating to me that was overlooked for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How much value would there have been in our industry and in the construction industry to understand that level of detail? And a gusset plate is going to get in the way in this ceiling layout, and we're going to have to figure out how to work around it. If we had seen that during the submittal process, that would really help us react faster to those situations and how it's going to impact our work. So.
Well, and like this whole world is really fascinating to me. So like the way that translates to the field. So the guy, and I'll back away from steel for a minute, just because that is a little bit more established. But like, say the guy's building the metal stud walls, the interior partitions in the bathroom or something like that. How are they getting the information then in the field to know what they're supposed to do? Is it up to the field to output the necessary drawings or documentation, or is there a board, or is there an iPad? Like, what does that look like? Do we know yet?
I think we do know. I think it's all about adoption, right? So, first of all, in these larger construction firms, and even when I was working for Horgan, which is a local contractor, more regional reach right now, they were operating with the idea that we would have data vaults on site, which is basically a big rolling job box with a computer and a large display in it that could move from floor to floor on a project and allow the teams to get together and look at coordination issues during installation and see how things were supposed to run. Right. So that's like level one. Level two is the idea of a tablet, right? So you're not just looking at drawings, but you're also able to look at that coordination model or those coordination drawings on a tablet and be able to do takeoffs more accurately for those dimensions that may be missing from those layout drawings. So I think it's there. I think it's just the adoption of the trades and the businesses and leveraging the technology to really get the full capabilities, efficacy, and efficiency. Because at the end of the day, they don't want to have to spend more time or money doing the stuff if they don't have to either. They want to get it right the first time too.
Yeah, and I mean, to kind of to that point and to your original point and the challenges with this is you're talking about doing this for the Cleveland Brown Stadium. So how many people, like we're not even just talking about the field, we're just talking about all the teams involved in this. You're probably talking about 10,000 people that have to all be on the same page and at the same standard of understanding, or maybe not all at the same standard of understanding. Maybe it's just the leadership, needs to have that trickle down and make sure that everyone's on the same page. Like that's a pretty incredible undertaking.
It is, but part of the opportunity we see with this is that it takes a project like this to deliver something to this level.
Right, because you have the budget.
It's not necessarily the budget, but it's the level of sophistication. I think it's also the spotlight, right? You're not going to be able to do this on your run-of-the-mill retail center,
right?
No one's gonna realize that opportunity because they don't see the benefit to it. There's a benefit to delivering on a massive project like this because of, hey, we're all working under tight timelines on delivery for design to provide more accurate information and more, just raw data to the field that is expected to be 100% correct. And then they're under a tight timeline to deliver that project. Right. So when we're in that situation, we have to look at how much more we can leverage out of the technology we have. That's not necessarily technically standard in the industry yet, but will get us there very, very quickly. And it's this type of project that'll pave the way to aid in this becoming a standard for the industry.
Right. Yeah. You're kind of building the prototype.
Yeah.
Or, a pretty sophisticated level. So it probably can't get any harder than this. Right. So in this particular situation, who is driving the implementation of this process? Is it a whole team? Is it the owner? Is it who's saying this is how we're going to run this? Is it the builder? Is it HKS?
I mean, obviously, with contractual relationships being what they are, it's a bit of a mixed bag depending on the project. Right. This one, it is a CM at risk project, so we are delivering our part, and we're telling the contractor, "Hey, this is how we're going to deliver it. Do you agree? Do you see any faults in it?" And they give us some feedback, and we've basically adjusted those BIM execution plans to align with their expectation and their trades. They don't expect to utilize the models as much. So it's a give and take in this project in particular, but I think if we are looking at an IPD or a design build project where you actually have full control on a certain level, whether that's a team control or from the top down on the design build side from the contractor, I think there's more opportunity there for full adoption of a delivery method, right? Right. So that's our biggest challenge in this process is with the contractual relationship, just making sure everyone is satisfied with the delivery method and is expecting this delivery method.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're talking about, contracts, deliverable, technology, construction, sophisticated sports architecture, all this other stuff. I'm just curious. And you've watched the show before. We have no idea what we're going to talk about. Like, this isn't scripted. No. I'm learning as I go. So how did Virginia Tech architecture prepare you for this world? Because we didn't study any of this. We barely had computers.
We were definitely in the age where we barely had computers. So we were told to buy laptops, and they told us to buy Macs that nothing would run on anyway if we were going to buy a Mac, just because they had an agreement with Apple. But
I never used it. I used it for Kazoo and Napster. That was pretty much the use of my laptop, was to download illegal MP3s. I had a laptop. I found one from some off-brand site that had a DVD drive built into it. This was back in '98 when DVDs were like brand new. So I was watching
Pulp Fiction and stuff in the studio with like fifth years walking by going, how is he doing that?
I think it was like a $7,000 laptop too. It was crazy.
Anyway,
yeah.
To answer the question, I think, in some ways, look, as much as we can learn in school, we're never going to be prepared for certain aspects of this profession. I do think that there are some aspects of our specific schooling that could have been better. I also think that there are some aspects of it that could have been worse, right? But at the end of the day, the ability, that basically the awareness they gave us of our abilities to think on our own, to troubleshoot, to understand how to look at things differently, that kind of is the all-encompassing strategy that drives everything else that we do.
Right.
So, I joke about it, but we turn something on its side and you get a whole different perspective on it. So.
Yeah, the old Jack Davis. Turn it upside. I use that with my team all the time. Turn the piece of paper upside down.
Yeah,
you'll get a totally different view of it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so, I mean, it's. I think it's also with where we were, the ability or the facilities we had at Virginia Tech allowed that exploration of media, exploration of material, and technology. We did have one of the first 3D printers, I think, at least on the East Coast, if not the country. And it was printing, I think, in plaster. But we had laser cutters, which, nobody knew what one was. And we had the CAD cam in the metal shop, a CNC. And then we did have access to regular PCs that actually gave us access to programs like AutoCAD and Rhino, and the Adobe platforms that some schools don't have the means to provide. So I think with that ability of exploration, really kind of afforded us the opportunity to know that all we have to do is be willing to learn the new thing or the old thing, and how to merge the two. And really leverage it for both design and how we're going to build it.
I 100% agree. There was so many, those are all great points because there was so many tools available. Wood shop, metal shop, plaster studio, like what?
Print screen.
Screen printing.
I did pottery.
Dark rooms. Yeah, you did pottery. Remember, so to present my thesis model, I needed to build a stand, so I cast like 100 stacked blocks of plaster.
Yeah.
Like the amount of what? Why would we do? But it was all like the tools available to us were so cool, and I think there was an understanding that listen, the whole idea of casting something is an important principle to understand in the entire world.
Absolutely,
that's never going to go away. The whole idea of a dark room, and I still don't really understand how the chemicals work and make all those things happen, but understand the whole idea of how light and these certain things work is a principle that will exist for forever. The whole idea of having a computer with an interface in one way or another will always exist, but what software will be there, who knows, right? Just understanding all these tools, the whole idea of building the, who was it, John, that used to run the wood shop with the crazy hair?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh man, that guy, like he was the master of building jigs. Like the coolest jigs ever. Like, let's talk, it's like it's like AI, like this is what I'm trying to achieve, how we're going to achieve that, right? This is how we're going to do kind of the false work planning to kind of understand the piece that we're going to build to make this thing happen efficiently. Like those are things that you can only learn, I think, either in architecture school or in some weird aspect of working with your hands that are a little bit more valuable than just being able to pump CAD. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You have to have that tangible understanding, right? You have to be able to work with it with your hands, understand how it goes together and how that's actually going to impact what you do. You can't just sit there and point and click all day.
Yeah. And kind of the understanding and the ability to learn And you said it exactly right? And think about things differently. Like I'm into a fun rabbit hole working with Claude right now. And so much of my exercise is in it.
Watch out.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's going to build all those routines in the background and start shutting your computer down or causing it not to shut down.
No, that's fine. But
Sarah Connor's laughing at us.
Yeah. But the whole idea of how we learn to self-teach new tools and a process and a cadence for exploration and kind of knowing how to shift and move to maximize that tool is, I think, why it's really fun to talk to our classmates and just kind of hear where they are today, all doing somewhat different things that they have carved out in their own way, kind of based on what I think we maybe learned. And we didn't know what we learned until 10 years after school, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Once you're starting to apply it. Speaking of school, I was driving on Interstate 64 not too long ago. What in the hell happened to the Afton Inn? Have you driven past that, the inn at Afton?
I haven't.
Because that was your thesis project.
It was.
It's like it's spray painted, windows are broken out.
I mean, it's been closed for a while.
What a bummer.
Shameless plug. I do own an Airbnb at the bottom of the mountain. But yeah.
Good to know.
My sister and my wife and I went on.
What's that? Is that Waynesboro?
No, it's actually in Afton.
In Afton? Cool.
Yeah, it's 2-minute drive from a couple of the wineries and breweries, so it's a great spot. But yeah, the inn has been closed for years. It's a really unfortunate eyesore along 64, and it's right. I don't know if you ever explored that area. There's a cool property that the Dooley family used to own called Swannanoa.
Yeah, it's this Italian mansion. Yeah.
Well, and it was intended to be part of a larger gated community, a golf community on the side of the mountain. Wow. And it was, the house was designed by Baskerville and Son. Like there's so many connections to Richmond in that one little spot right behind the inn at Afton. But yeah, no, that's a missed opportunity, man. If that was ever something that I could acquire and then have a developer work with me on it, that would be awesome.
Well, I was trying to remember. So just for our listener watchers, so Interstate 64 cut through, I think it used to be 250, used to go basically Richmond to southwestern Virginia. Yeah. And so there was a Howard Johnson's that was there, and like all the old stuff. And then this big, I think it was originally a Holiday Inn. It's basically on the top of a mountain. It's absolutely beautiful, looking over the Shenandoah Valley, right off of the Blue Ridge Parkway, like just unbelievable. And so then they built Interstate 64, and the hotel sits right there on Interstate 64. Just this like kind of super cool mid-century building. And Peter, because didn't you do that for your thesis, for your undergraduate thesis?
Yeah, so it was a bit of an exploration of reintroducing a hotel use, and also looking at how the part of the mountainside had been carved away with some little other outbuildings and reestablishing the mountain by incorporating a spa component closer to the lower lying portion of that peak, I guess you'd say. And the whole thesis was driven around navigating the spa for different views of the valley and how that impacted your experience.
We should have built it.
I mean, yeah.
What were we doing? Well, it's not too late. We're going to develop Afton Mountain. Let's build the golf community is supposed to be. But that's kind of interesting too, because then when you were with Commonwealth, you worked on the John Marshall Hotel conversion, right?
For a time, we actually did not continue with that, but I worked on, I would say probably 20 to 30 historic buildings, all adaptive reuse.
Oh, wow.
Primarily tax credit projects, everything from the first high rise in Richmond, a 1911 bank building that was converted to multifamily mixed use, to a old tobacco warehouse facility in Winston-Salem, 500,000 square feet, 5 buildings, all that sort of stuff. And it's the crazy part about all that is just learning about the archaic systems in construction and knowing how to navigate that. But the historic stuff was truly fascinating because there was also craft behind it, right? Like all the cornices, all this ornamental stuff, they were all terracotta. They all came from somewhere. They were manufactured pieces from a catalog, but you can't even, I mean, it costs an arm and a leg to reproduce that stuff, and you're required to when you rehab those buildings, but there's only one place in Boston that you can get it from.
Can you cast it out of plaster? See all the tools we learned? See, I knew they were teaching us something.
Be really heavy. But yeah, it was cool.
And then I remember when you were at Oregon, you were doing the stone brewing in Richmond, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. They're closing this week.
Oh, wow.
So Stone got acquired by Sapporo last year, and Sapporo just sold them to a Belgian beer company. So they're like, guess what? You're no longer brewing in Richmond. Your last day is on the 14th. So tomorrow is the last day that Stone will be in Richmond.
What are they going to do with that incredible complex?
So Sapporo, originally, they were working on a collaborative agreement to increase their brewing capacity in the U.S. by brewing out of the Stone facility. That's a 500,000 barrel a year facility. Yeah. But they weren't really seeing eye to eye on the brewing schedule. So Sapporo said, you know what? Why don't we just buy you? Then it won't be a problem anymore.
Wow. Sapporo, that's like the Japanese lager.
Yeah. So Sapporo will be.
Who cares about that? Or do they own a lot of other beers?
They have a few, I think, but that's the primary one. But Sapporo will be the full operator after tomorrow of the Stone facility. But that project in particular was fascinating because one, I mean, whoever gets to build a brewery, right?
Right. Of that magnitude.
Right. It also included a tasting room. And for my capacity on it, I was also coordinating all the BIM items in it for all the different trade models, which meant that I also had to coordinate the piping models from the owner's vendor in Berlin for all their stainless steel piping they were actually having fabricated for their brewing equipment, and figuring out how we needed to actually adjust all of the other trades for this stuff that was set.
Yeah.
So
right.
That was a wild process. We had these giant pipe racks going down portions of the facility, and the most important thing in those pipe racks was the stainless steel. So everything else had to move around it. I learned so much about the brewing process in that project, and the sorts of things we need to consider. Like there is a piece of equipment called a centrifuge that required like an 18-inch thick depressed slab to resist the forces of the centrifuge for filtering the beer. I had no idea. And then when you're looking at the preference from the owner of a specific tile that they wanted that was made in Germany that was like 3/4 to an inch thick, then you had to, and it was mud set, then you had it that much more depressed into the ground, and all that coordination had to happen as part of our BIM coordination. So it was wild.
I mean, it's basically a laboratory, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's kind of nuts. Well, and then then you're involved in the Cleveland Browns Stadium. Have you done a lot of sports stuff?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I joined HKS in the sports sector.
Okay.
And it was during lockdown. So there wasn't really much going on in the sports industry as a whole for active projects. Most anything that was wrapping up, like at the time, SoFi was wrapping up, and we designed SoFi, which, I mean, amazing facility, completely the whole one of one for the area and the place that it's in. But that's our whole mantra in our sports practice, is making sure these venues are unique to their surroundings and their environment. But there was nothing else, right? So based on my background, I could do anything. I had done healthcare, I had done office buildings, I'd done state work. So it was a bit of a cost benefit analysis to say, okay, well, we're really not ready for this position, but let's hire this guy and see what happens. And so I started working on health pursuits. I started working on mixed use multifamily. I started working on hospitality projects. So, in between, the sports industry started picking back up. And by about 2021, 22, we did start getting more sports projects. So my first actual sports project with HKS was the renovation and replacement of the UNC Chapel Hill tennis courts for their tennis team. So that was a pretty interesting and significant project to work on for that group, because they are the #1 men's tennis team in the country, or at the time they were. I actually haven't checked their standings this year, but they had a facility that was falling apart. So we really wanted to make sure that what they had this time around would last and was some of the best surfaces that anyone could ever play on. So
right,
it was really cool. Yeah. But it's been interesting just seeing the breadth of projects I've been able to work on at HKS. That if sports isn't busy or with the situation we were in when I was hired, and being able to branch out and assist other sectors, and but at the end of the day, it's about HKS succeeding and not our sector succeeding, right?
Well,
so
it's literally, it was really interesting when I had Joe Cliggett on, who is the director of Chicago studio there, and he talked about that a lot. And the really cool evolution of HKS is for each project they bring in the specialists. So while it used to be in the olden days, a project goes to SOM Chicago, like Chicago office, and they kind of compete against each other. They're like, no, that's kind of crazy, especially in today's world. Let's just bring in the best people from our entire HKS group for each project, the best expertise for each of them. And some people might be in Germany, right? Like, why not? Let's make sure that we have the best possible team that's relative to each project, which I think is really cool. My commercial architecture world was a little bit shorter, or significantly shorter. But when I was at Getch, I had the opportunity to work on the Chicago 2016 Olympic Stadium, which we did not get the Olympics.
Right.
That was a sad day. But working on a stadium was really fascinating to me, and I learned a lot. And it made me, every time I went to any sporting event after that, completely see a stadium in a different way. Are you the same way?
Yeah.
Or if you did an airport, every time you go to an airport, you just see all this different stuff that you never ever thought about, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's true about any project or any building type you do for the first time, because you learn so much in that first one that from then on you're building your lessons learned in your head, and it's so ingrained. It's like those wrinkles that are generated in your brain are now driving every afterthought that you have in projects as they come along, like every thought from then on out. So it's sight lines, bowl design, angles, where is the bowl going to break, seating, wind, for these massive stadiums. And mind you, the Brown Stadium is also going to be fully enclosed. Snow load, snow drift, impact on a long span roof. How is that actually going to connect? What's the load transfer like? What are those connections going to look like cosmetically in the concourse? That kind of stuff we have to get into, because it's going to impact anything and everything you see in the space at the end of the day. So
individual urinals or a trough, right?
Right.
So when Soldier Field, so we moved to Chicago in 2003 or something like that, and Soldier Field was relatively new, and I went to a Bears game, and they had like wide urinal areas, and the line was ridiculous, and everyone's chanting, "Bring back the trough, bring back the trough," because you can service probably 5 times as many guys at a football game with a trough than with individual toilets.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that it's amazing. It's amazing with that kind of stuff. Just, guys will do it.
And it's all at concentrated times, right? So it's
Right.
like in between periods or in between, I guess I'm in hockey mode right now. So it's first period intermission, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. This is really fun to catch up and just kind of hear about your kind of overall progression. Love seeing what you're doing and what you've done. As usual, we're a little bit over time, but we haven't even reminisced, man.
Yeah,
we haven't even gotten nostalgic here.
No, we haven't. Yeah. This is like I said, it's the longest 45-minute episode you're going to do.
We had a good time. So we had I guess I got to know you second year, right? Because you were friends with like Kenny and John.
Second, primarily third year, I think, because we were sitting right next to each other.
We were in Jack's studio. Yeah.
Yeah. But starting to get to know you on second year. Had no idea even about Jay Stuckel for your first year experience. So that
you didn't even get to
I had no real perspective on that at all, unfortunately.
He was crazy, but he also, I will be honest and vulnerable now in my older age, he also gave us an unfortunate ego.
That's true.
Coming out of that, which I think was somewhat prevalent throughout the Scott Poolites, same way, right?
Yeah.
But it was fun. You had Shelly, right? First year?
No, I had Marie Paget.
Ah, yes. That's cool.
And her studio was right next to Ron Daniel. So that was kind of cool to we did a couple collaborative things where we were working on the same content together, right? Same assignment.
Right.
Working through that stuff. But I think really at Tech, my education for architecture started that third year.
Yeah. First and second year, a little nutso. Who did you have second year?
I ended up with Fernando Ruiz. And the only reason why we ended up with the second year studio with Ruiz is because they forgot he was coming back from Europe, from the abroad program. So they're like, oh yeah, you're actually a third through fifth year professor, but here's a second year studio for you. So we did more, I think in that studio, we did more third year level stuff with how we were approaching projects and the actual projects themselves than we probably should have. It wasn't necessarily foundational.
Yeah.
So I think in some ways that was not the best experience, but in other ways, I think it kind of cut out the bullshit. Right. So we kind of just got down to it, and he would tell us if he thought something was good or not,
Right.
He would also call something a Mickey Mouse thing if he thought it was like cartoonish. So, yeah.
Well, I accidentally ended up in Lawrence Mason's second year studio because I didn't know.
We were right next. Our studios were right next to each other.
Right.
So that's right.
Yeah, and I was just always so oblivious. I think I'm still oblivious, but so everyone would go to studio before the first day and claim their desk.
Yeah.
So everyone had claimed desks, and basically most of the people from my studio went to the one at the end of Kogel, the guy that came from NC State, and they all hated it. They said it was terrible.
Who was that?
Oh, I forget his name. I don't know. I don't want to throw him under the bus. Yeah. I can see his face, but it coming from Jay's studio, all those people with their egos and all that stuff, it wasn't really necessarily a good fit. But everyone went to there, but there was no seats left for me. So there's one seat available over at Lawrence Mason's, and I went over there and was like, anybody know who this guy is? And some older person's like, yeah, he's awesome. You have to be in Lawrence's. So I was with completely new people. So I didn't know Kenny. I didn't know John. I didn't know Keith. All these people from just crazy town, for lack of a better word. Like they were completely on Lawrence Mason's wavelength, which is he wore black jeans and a white t-shirt every day. He was 28 years old, and he was just a brilliant artist. Yeah. Like this whole world, which was completely foreign to me, and I could not keep up with him. because he was really good at getting people to be like beyond creative. I remember he had an art opening and it was a canvas that he painted white. And we're all standing there looking at it. We're like, this is incredible, right? And he's like, can't you feel it? Like, what is going on? And then he would have us
his Pella Prize in the stairway. Remember, it was just like this one large drawing of a bunch of black lines. And we're like,
yes.
Hey, what was your Pella Prize thesis about? What was that poster about? He's like, I'm not going to tell you. You have to guess. Go look at it yourself and you tell me.
Oh, it was mind blowing. And we were like enamored by him because he was so fascinating. And I had no idea, like it was the complete opposite of Jay. Like I think they were both really deep in a level of creativity and genius in their own ways, but coming at it from a Scott Poole direction, which is very foreign for me, who's kind of, loud and boisterous. And he made us, like, we read Palasma books, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on with this? And then we had to do a presentation on whatever, I'm sure I have it over here on the shelf somewhere. Had to do some sort of a presentation about it. And I literally I don't even remember what I said, but it was like, there's light and it's blue, and then there's red. And he goes, he'd always call me Pollard. Pollard, can you be, when you speak, can you be a little more professional and a little less colloquial? And I looked at him and I'm like, I have no idea what colloquial means. And then
he would say that. Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And then he took us to you went to the Finnish embassy, didn't you, with us?
No.
Okay. I think somebody else from not in our studio went with us to the Finnish embassy, and we had like a site on top of a mountain, and we all drove up there in the snow, and we all ended up, his old Volvo made it up. Anyway, what like two bookends of an incredible foundation program to completely just fuck with my brain.
Right. Yeah.
And then we go into third year with Jack Davis, and Jack is like incredible in his own way, but it's professional program then. So we're talking about like this is how real architecture firms operate. Yeah. And I usually don't swear on the show, but I'm so mind fucked at this point. I'm like, I don't really understand who would ever want to work for a regular architecture firm. Why don't we just cast plaster and like look at stars on a mountaintop?
Right. Or do, buy chunks of metal and water jet them in the metal shop,
I did do a lot of that.
Do a CNC of layers of copper together and see what happens,
I did I still have a lot of very heavy pieces of bronze that I did CNC.
I still remember when you brought in that piece of tungsten. I was like, what the fuck are you doing with this?
I wanted to see if we could water jet it. And we tried water jetting glass. We go to that guy in Roanoke. He's like, I don't think we can water jet glass. We'll give it a try. It's like, yeah, I love the junk. It was like the metal yard, like in Roanoke. I don't know what I was doing. What a blast.
That was fun. And then that was also the year that we started doing Habitat together too.
Yeah.
I guess third year and then coming back fifth year. Because we had that whole fourth year. You did Europe, I did Alexandria. So
yeah, and I may have started doing Habitat because I got in some legal trouble. It might have originally been a community service thing, but then they ended up hiring me. It all kind of works out, right? Yeah, that was awesome. And then we had a good Habitat crew. And did you work on you first worked on the Pulaski house.
Yeah,
man, that thing. I wonder if it ever got finished.
I don't know.
And then we built the new construction was super fun, setting the trusses and
in the rain, setting the trusses in the rain. That was awesome.
And I was the I think I was actually the construction manager on that. Like I knew how to build a house.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah. And we had to go back and fix stuff that they messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. And you couldn't use nail guns, which is kind of fun. But yeah, that was a good time. And then that rolled through into, so fifth year, you were in Jack's thesis studio too with us, right?
Yeah. And you had Steve Thompson, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I didn't
Yeah.
have Jack. I had Steve and just, I guess, Steve. Yeah, just to kind of get a completely different.
Well, Steve, and I guess for his third year studio, he was teamed up with, gosh, what's his name? It's the tip of my tongue. Hunter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like, talk about a way to finish your fifth year with that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, remember his, what was it? It was basically architectural theory. And the
no
books
idea
that we
what
had
you
to read
talked
for
about
that
at all. Yeah.
Like,
Still no idea.
So it's interesting because the one book, Finite and Infinite Games, and I was like, I don't get this book at all. Simon Sinek is now really big about finite infinite games, and I get it now, but there was no way that Steve Thompson was going to be able to talk about that in any applicable fashion.
No, I mean, you can, I think it's like the first 2 pages of it.
Yeah.
It's like, what is finite is infinite, and then what is infinite is finite, and then finite is, and you're like, what? I'm 22 years old, or probably 20 years old at that point.
Yeah.
That was a tough class. And that was before Cliff Notes existed for finite and infinite games by James P. Karst.
James Karst, that's right.
That's a Karst book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I went cross-eyed when I was thinking about that initially.
So I think my reasoning for choosing or asking Steve Thompson, I forgot that he was my thesis advisor actually, was because that was another ego studio. All the people that came out of Steve Thompson third year thought they were better than everybody. I never had Steve Thompson. I'm like, well, I'm going to take this guy. And I just decided to kind of wrap up my entire architectural education with a 5th year just mind fuck.
I wanted to stay away from the mind fuckery, so I tried to go egoless. I think that's helped generally, but that's also made me quite aware of the egos, so.
Yeah, that was a good time. And then we had some good canoe trips.
We did
back in the day.
Yeah,
that was good times.
Yeah, no, a lot of good stuff. And it's funny thinking back on it. I almost went to Chicago.
That was going to be one of my questions. How come you moved to Chicago with us?
Because I met my wife.
Oh, thanks a lot, Annie.
And so, cool. Yeah. So it was like, times were tough. It was 2003. It was hard to find work, and Chicago was hiring, but it was hard to find stuff in Richmond. I finally found a job, not with Commonwealth Architects, but, and I only lasted in that job for 6 months, and then I did high-end residential for a year and a half. But yeah, no, if it wasn't for meeting Annie, then I probably would have ended up in Chicago and, being that 5th guy in the apartment with you guys, taking the other closet that Kenny wasn't in,
Yeah, so. Sharing the pantry with Kenny. At some point, I just have to have like a reunion show of all the people that live there, because Dave Schlecht lived there, Jimbo lived there, Kenny, Chris, Dan.
Oh, Dan. Yeah.
Allison was my roommate for a little while. That was my foray into living with a woman, with a girl. I'm like, I don't like this. It was my problem.
It was your doing.
Yeah, that was a fun apartment. Yeah, nobody worked for the same firm either. We're all kind of going our own different stuff. And
but I mean, that was a great way to start out with just, hey, what is your firm? How did your firm do this? Like, there's no better way to learn that than from your friends that you're living with, right? Like,
yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it, man. Well, it's we're running long as usual. Anything else that we didn't talk about that we got to throw in here?
Tons of stuff, but we'll have to do a part 2, and we'll
absolutely
talk about other things. But,
we'll keep it going. But I thought this was really fun. Just talking about the technology throughout. Well, and on that note, I mean, are you guys looking at AI tools as it relates to kind of the building technology tools? I'm sure Autodesk is starting to, have levels of automated clash detection. I guess that already existed, but
yeah, I mean, we're using AI more for iterating than anything else. I think the once we get into the design process and our design team for sports, for these large venues, likes to use Rhino a lot. they'll use Grasshopper, and we have a computational group that helps us with the Grasshopper routines, and they basically are the computational designers that look into how all of the forms and everything are generated and how they change based on push and pull of floor plates and things like that. So that's an entirely different conversation that I don't even need to get into right now, nor do I have the capacity to talk about it completely. So
I did in graduate school, I did a Grasshopper course and like pulling these little wires. I just wanted to understand a little bit. I'm like, this is cool, but this is kind of over I'm a pour plaster kind of guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now it'll be interesting to see where that takes kind of our industry, because obviously the computer systems, the technology has already allowed us to build, more and more sophisticated buildings and more sophisticated designs, and special designs, and hopefully having more tools will make that more accessible to break the mold a little bit.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Well, Peter, always a pleasure, my man.
Thanks, Dave.
We got to catch up soon. Let me know when you're down south here in Raleigh, and I'll let you know when we're back up in Richmond too.
Yeah, man.
Our kids are getting all grown up now.
Yeah, they are. It's crazy.
All right, man. All right. Take care.
Take care.
Thanks again.
Thanks.
Bye.
Appreciate it.